depends what time supper. But anyway, good afternoon. I'd like to welcome all of y'all. Today's zoning board meeting on 11/4/24 at 1:46 p.m. That's a Monday. Let's get started. Again, Terry, thank you for showing up. And that made the quorum, so we have a quorum. We have 6 members count for the minutes. And anyone had a time to look over the previous minutes?
I'll second.
All right, motion to approve in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes 6-0. All right, here's this fun part, reading the verbiage of the agenda into it for the record, so bear with me here. Item number, we changed it up. We went to number 2 first on public comment. I think I knew about that. But that, anyway. Public comment. I'm going to open it up first for public comment. Issues or concerns not on the regular agenda may be raised by the public at this time. Citizens should speak from the podium, address comments to the dais, and begin by stating their name and addresses or single-member district, and limit all remarks to less than 3 minutes. Let's see, again, let me make this clear. Not on any items that are not on this agenda today. Does anyone have public comment for items not on the agenda?
We have no one signed up for this section.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to close public comment. Item number 3, we took care of that. That's the reason I was going by memory.
That's why I was, double checking.
Item number 4,
We were gonna
ZBA 24-36, 3618 Silver Spur Drive, single member district number 6, Larry Miller. A request for approval of variance from section 501.A for 10-foot front setback in lieu of the required 25 feet in an RS1 zoning district for new home. Mr. Vanoy, welcome.
Thank you, Chairman. Aaron Vanoy, Director of Planning Development Services. This is ZBA case 24-36. It's 3618 Silver Spur Drive in the bottom neighborhood. Again, Mr. Larry Miller's district. It is RS1. The vision is neighborhood, and the lot size is 0.332 acres. It's a request for a front yard setback variance, which happens to be along Canyon Rim. If I recall correctly, while they're addressed off of this new road that has been built in there, Silver Spur, the actual variance is off of Canyon Rim. So we did send out notifications. There were 26 notifications mailed out. Looks like there was 2 opposed. These did go to our planner, Ray Lineberry. She did not mention what they were opposed about. They may be here to speak on those today.
All right.
So the analysis, the shape of the lot and the location defines it as a double frontage, which requires a 25-foot setback along Canyon Rim and Silver Spur. The lot is vacant and it's an irregular shape. Granting this variance is the minimum action that would allow this lot to be buildable. Allowing a similar house that matches the existing ones in the area will keep the pattern of development. And I believe you can see there, this is standing at that intersection. On the left side of the screen, you can see the new spur, Silver Spur, and Canyon Rim that kind of comes around there.
Where's the garage going to open on that? Excuse me.
Let me see if I can go back
that's fine.
to, I'm not sure where they, I'm trying to think. I'm going to see if she has a site plan in here. Yes, here's the site plan. This is exactly what you're looking for. So right here, you can see right here, this is the area that is going to get very, very close, is that back bedroom and where the fence line comes around. The actual garage is right here off of Silver Spur. It is not on the curve of Canyon Rim. So looking at that fence line coming around, you can see, if you can kind of just see up here in this corner where their fence line comes to right about there, this fence line would be a little further in front, and it would come back. We would ask them to be 10 feet off of that property line, and it come around down to here. They are looking at stopping the fence. At this point, they are considering actually doing it to there, but they would lose a lot of yard. And so how do you keep that little side yard there that they have just off of their kind of mudroom area, if you will? This does not affect Silver Spur Drive. It is an irregular shaped lot. To maintain the rear setbacks, you can see they were trying to maintain as much rear setback as they can because they kind of adjacent to a front yard and a small backyard over here. It could scoot back just a little bit, but instead of the 25 from the property line, we're asking for just a 10-foot, and so a 15-foot variance there. You can see that it does have quite a bit of right-of-way where utilities and things are, and so to be 10 feet off of that, I believe that's a 10-foot right-of-way as well. I could be wrong on that, but I'd have to, the applicant may be aware, but you're still going to be a significant distance, close to 20 feet off of the paving edge of this street that comes around. I don't believe this is a signalized intersection except for maybe Silver Spur crossing it. I don't believe Canyon Rim is signalized there by a stop sign, but maybe some of the folks that live in the neighborhood can give us up to date on that. With that, city staff is recommending approval of the variance from section 501A for a 10-foot front yard along Canyon Rim in lieu of the required 25 feet along Canyon Rim. With that, I'll try to answer any questions or go back to any images you'd like.
Is it 10 or 15?
Well, the 10-foot would be what the front yard requirement would be, so that's a variance of 15 feet total
Okay.
from the 25-foot
Okay,
setback.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions. No question? All right, thank you, Aaron. Okay, now I'm going to open it for public comment. Step up, please state your name for the record.
Erica Wilde, Wilde Engineering and Surveying,
Hi, Aaron.
LLC.
And you go,
I can.
you gotta make it worth it.
I really can't sum it up better than Aaron did himself. These guys have a house designed and just came up a little short on the side setback there, realizing it's a 25-foot setback, not actually a side setback. So I just asked for approval as presented, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Open it up, board, any questions? Thank you. More public comment? Okay. Step up, your name for the record, please, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm Lee Brown. I live at 3557 Summit Lane. Is there any way we could put a picture back up?
You want to
Do
overhead?
you live at the
or
house behind it?
Overhead, to where you can see the whole area plus the,
Tell me when.
right here. That'd
Right
be
there?
good.
All right.
Okay, right there where the red star is actually our house.
Okay.
We are in a unique situation in that we're the second house on Summit Lane, but we're the first house on the alley
Canyon
between Silver Spur and Canyon Rim. I'm sorry, and Summit. Our alley comes out right at that property. That is a very busy alley. We get a lot of traffic coming through there. The way our property is set up, we do have, our property is adjacent to Canyon Rim. When we come in from the north on Canyon Rim to pull in to the left, to pull into our alley, into our driveway, which is rear facing, that is a blind spot, as it is right now. If the weeds even grow up 2 feet tall, you cannot see around that corner, that curve on Canyon Rim. It's very dangerous.
Mr. Brown, may I stop you 1 second? Would you, there's two stars on the map.
Okay.
there.
3551.
The far right star.
Okay.
No, you're you're across the street.
Okay, I was looking, okay.
I
Yeah,
was
I'm-
thinking you were right next
Yeah,
to it as
I
well.
forgot
I'm
there's a
sorry.
door opening right
No,
now.
the one that's up on Summit.
Okay, I got it. I'm
I was
clear
trying
now.
to figure out how you were coming in from
Yeah.
an alley. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I'm
too.
sorry.
I got it. Thank
Yeah, so the red star that he kind enough to point out is actually our house. Our driveway comes out into the alley.
Okay.
We come out of the alley onto Canyon Rim.
you. Okay,
Coming out of that alley or coming south on Canyon Rim, pulling left into our alley, that curve is a blind spot.
okay.
As it is, with no variance, it is a blind spot. You put a house 15 feet closer, you put a fence on the other side of that between the house and Canyon Rim, it is a perfect blind spot for someone to come around, and I don't know how to explain it any better than that.
You thinking it's gonna cause a hazard?
It is a
Pattern
very big hazard.
Yeah, I got thrown on the weeds, when you said the weeds grow up, in 2 feet, which weeds were you talking about? You said.
On that empty lot.
Okay, well, okay, I'm tracking with you now, that's good, I got it.
I'm just telling you, that's a comparison. If the weeds are 2 feet tall on the existing property, it is a total blind spot. You put a 6-foot fence up with a 15-foot variance, it's gonna make that hazard even worse. You won't be able to peek around. We also have grandkids that play in that area. The lady, the house that you see, the red brick in this picture, has grandkids that come over and visit.
Is there a yield sign or any
Yeah,
type
okay.
of stop sign, any type of?
Crossing Silver Spur, crossing Canyon Rim has a stop sign on each side. There is no stop sign Canyon Rim right away. I would recommend that there be a stop sign actually put there. However,
That's not,
Yeah.
yeah.
there
oh my
is no,
God.
there is no stop sign from Dominion Ridge all the way down to the Arroyo.
Okay.
So
Therefore,
it seems to me.
we do get a lot of speeding down through that area. And if there is, if it's a 30-mile-an-hour hazard, they add to it with their extra speed.
I'm, to tell you, Mr. Brown, I'm leaning towards approving the change, but I think your biggest structure problem's gonna be the fence they put up along there, don't you? If they.
I'm sorry, I
The
don't have
the
my-
fence, it's more than the house. The fence, you think, would.
The fence,
Yeah.
absolutely, yes.
Okay. Let me suggest, you take a seat right there. Now, let me invite the engineer back up on the fence. I'm gonna address the fence issue.
Okay.
Okay.
Think I'm gonna sit over here?
Yeah,
back,
or wherever, but, you know, I'll
Okay.
probably call you back up, that's what I'm saying.
I don't need
What
anything
can-
more smarter than myself.
I do what?
I didn't hear you.
He asked me if I needed this. I said, I don't need anything smarter than myself.
No, I see. Where is the fence gonna be? I thought I saw
I
one with
think we saw where it's gonna be 10 foot in.
And then also I wanted to make sure y'all noted that the 30-foot side triangle, the fence will not be in that.
well,
In that triangle?
yeah, but that's on a curve, and I'm not saying I'm gonna, you know, I just wanna see if you have any suggestions on how to ease this heartburn on the fence coming out there.
Put a signal, put a
On the
stop
back,
sign.
from the back, and the side, I think that's the biggest concern.
I mean, I think the only good solution to anything like that is a signal.
So the property in the back behind it, you're not fencing that in?
Yes.
So
It'll all
there's
be
plenty of
fenced.
yard back there, right?
Okay, how do you use this thing?
I thought I saw one with the fence drawn on there, is what I.
No, there is. From what I can see, it's a 10-foot, yeah, it's a 10-foot.
Well, no, I thought I saw
In
it from
mine.
here.
Yeah.
They're just not gonna do the triangle.
Okay, so the fence
start
goes.
Yes, I know. We're gonna address the back, from the back of the house back.
No, there's no fence going up there.
Yeah, there'll be a fence
Yeah.
along.
Oh, there is?
Yeah. That's their backyard.
Well, this concerns the way he described it, even if putting the fence there where they want it, is gonna steal that line of sight he's talking about. And, so let's just do away with the side of the house and start your fence line from the back of the house to where? How far could you move it in, you think?
I don't think so.
No, but I understand,
Oh, yeah,
but,
no, this is the,
okay, 16.
Sorry, for future public comment, if you would allow me to read the names in before people approach the podium, just moving forward.
Okay,
Sorry,
we've had it
we're
before.
getting used to that.
Yeah, I know. It's-
sorry.
it's a learning
Apologize
process.
on that,
It's okay.
too.
This is Kathleen Evans. I believe you're the owner.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, my name's Caitlin Evans. This is going to be my house.
Well, you hear his concerns.
Yes, I do. I think the problem is when he pulls out of that alley, he's basically looking across that lot to see if there's cars coming, which on the curve I understand, but when the house is there and there's a fence there, regardless of where it is, it's going to limit the line of sight coming out of that alley. But honestly, I don't really see how it would limit the line of sight when you pull up and you look down the street. I feel like you can see down the street both ways. I don't know how a fence across the street would affect that, but I don't drive the alley every day, so I don't know.
They could, let me sidebar over here with Aaron.
Yes, sir?
Irregardless of whatever happens, could there be a fence drawn the way it's drawn now, allowable without a variance?
Well, it could only be up to a 4-foot height fence, since that's a front yard.
Okay.
That's the challenge. Now, if you set the setback at 10 feet, then they could have a 6-foot fence in that, up to that 10-foot line. One of the challenging parts of this case is trying to do a variable front yard setback. And by meaning, if you look on the right side of the screen, you see the existing house to the, I'm going to say to the north, probably not true north, but I'm going to say to the north. You see the green distance there, that's the 10-foot setback. If you made that arc go up, that's still in front of that garage, that's at the 25-foot setback for that existing house. Now, if you follow that arc coming down towards the corner and you see the house on the left, you see they've got the small area that they've got, basically kind of their mudroom that goes outdoors there. Is there a way somewhere past that 5-foot setback from that corner of the house to curve that in a little tighter to give just a little bit more vision along the corner? The hard part is, well, what is that, 12 feet? Is that, nobody really knows. That's the hard part to say, what still makes sense for them to have a little side yard there, other than it just being out into the open.
Are you gonna have two separate yards?
No,
And just have a
so
5-foot gate? Because that's
No,
what
yeah,
typically
so
would be a
basically-
5-foot setback, like right there would be like a 5-foot gate, would be separating 2 yards.
Well, so that little side yard that's on the right-hand side, that's basically going to be for my mother-in-law. She's elderly and moving in with us. That little section is like her little apartment. The way the lot is set up, no matter where we put our house, whether we scooch it over, we do this, our yard is, oh my God, I'm sorry, is a total wraparound. So we're just trying to limit that and utilize our yard space as much as possible. I've done the math, and if we keep it at the 25-foot, then that side yard and our whole front yard is over half of our lot size. And so, and that's also the only lot in that whole neighborhood that doesn't have an alley, and it has a double frontage. So I just feel like that is just a complete waste of space. And I really don't think, I would even be willing to, can I use this?
Yes.
How do you point?
The top one is the one that if you hold it in and
Okay, I would be even willing to push the fence back to this jut out if that would help with the visual.
How many feet would that be?
That's about 13 feet, I believe. I'd have to look up the floor plan on my phone to see the exact, but that would push it back about 10 to 13 feet. And then we could keep it, that would keep her little side yard and keep our yard, I guess, maximized. Like I said, that's just a lot of wasted space for a corner lot, and it's the only one in that neighborhood that has to abide by that, which I know, we bought the lot, so that's,
No,
you know.
No, and we're all
We're
trying to
we're
find some
trying to work,
common
Yeah.
ground here.
Yeah, I really think the only place where there would be a kind of a safety line of sight issue would be at the corner of Canyon Rim and Silver Spur because it does have that curve. But I think with us pushing the fence as far back as we have, because it's even further back on the right than it is on the left for that reason, and we would be willing to push it back even to that first little jut out right there, if that would help with the line of sight there. As far as the alley across the way, I
Is
don't,
that, where you point, where are you at now? I lost it.
oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, if we
Right.
move the fence from right
From
here
here
to
to the
back
edge.
here,
Yes,
that
I
would
saw that
make,
the first time, okay.
that's what
Yeah,
they're
that would
saying,
make
is
this
moving the-
wider,
The fence line.
but
that
as
makes
far as
line-
across the
line of
street-
sight wider.
Okay.
I don't know. As far as across the street, I feel like putting a house there, period, is gonna mess with the line of sight if you're looking across
I
that.
think that would give them more room to look down the street when they come up the intersection here. Do you
Yeah,
agree?
and we would be
Yeah, okay.
totally willing to do that. We
Okay.
just don't wanna give basically 25 foot of our yard to nobody.
Right. Well, I'm only one vote, but is everybody clear on what you said? Okay, thank you. Let me go back to my original question, if I may. If they were not asking for a variance to put the house on, could the fence be like they're proposing now? Say the house fit, and they didn't, could they bring the fence all the way up? Right, okay.
Not in the 25 front yard setback, they would not. And since it's a double frontage, that is a disadvantage, and this is an irregular shaped lot. And so how do we work through what's the right distance? And if that's a variable distance, and, you know, we've got some markers there, if that's the way
Okay.
way it moves forward, then staff will work with them to help resolve that.
You finally got to the bell in there. Sometimes it's deep. It doesn't ring as clear as it should, so I sometimes might have to ask
Yes,
three
sir.
times. Okay?
That's okay.
Sometimes it might even have to draw me a map. All right.
I think there, and I'll defer to Austin Reed to see if there's any other public comments
All
that
right,
have
thank
signed
you.
up.
Austin?
I believe we have a Rose Pelzel.
Hi, Rose.
Hello, neighbor, eventually. Okay, can we put it back to that first slide that shows the whole curve? That one? Okay. Okay, my name is Rose Pelzel, and so right across at 3550 Silver Spur is where I live, right across from that corner there. So I live on that corner, on that curve, before any of the development started. And I'm all for development and improving, but safety has to come first. Now, as the years have been, because there is no stop sign along there, and that's a deal, they really do speed. I have had people coming from the north miss the curve and go through my front yard and barely miss my tree. Now, coming from the south, I had one coming up and hit into my fence. So there is a lot of danger there. I have already called the city before, and while they were out there, different ones, I said, look, this curve is dangerous. It's going to kill somebody. When I first moved there, and even now, we have as many people walking along Canyon Rim with their dogs and that as we do cars, and it's a lot of cars now. It used not to be. So I'm here not to be against something except to show that there is a safety issue here.
Okay.
And already, you know, and then I have a small SUV. Turning into our alley and that, it is very dangerous. And so somehow the city needs to start looking at this, because there is that stop sign there, but they just run right through the stop sign right now. And on Silver Spur, there's a stop sign that you're supposed to stop as you cross over Canyon Rim. But the ones, especially the ones who are coming from the new area, they just blow right across. And that could be walking or others.
But you're not opposed to the fence across the
I
street?
am definitely opposed because of the fact that if you put a barrier even closer in, you know, that's just common sense. If you have a fence here or you have a fence here, the danger is here. The further you can get away from where the dangerous road is, even an inch or two, because with a car, a small SUV, you don't see along there, and it's going so fast. I recommend whoever needs to start looking into, because of all the new additions, there needs to be a four-way stop.
So you want a stop sign whether there is a fence or not? Is that what you're saying?
I'd like a stop
Okay.
sign for that, but
Okay,
the
that's a-
fence would
that-
make it
that-
more
Okay,
dangerous.
that would be a separate issue on the fence from the.
Just to clarify too, you did not set an opposed, you were stating you were at
I was-
3550, but you did not get your
I
opposed.
didn't get an opposed thing
Okay.
in because I was out of town at
Okay.
business meetings.
Thank you.
That's all I wanted to clarify.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The only public comment we have left is a Gail Brown. You don't have to speak, but if you'd like to, you can. Okay.
Go ahead and leave that for now, thank you. My name is Gail Brown, I'm at 3557 Summit Lane. And one thing, not to be combative or anything, it says...
I hate to interrupt you. Which address did you say you were at?
3557,
3557, okay.
right, at the Star. My husband is with me too.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and the other Star was going to be here, but she could not at the last minute. The 26 mailed notifications, there's only about 10 in that circle that are occupied. The others don't even have houses on them. And also, like she was out of town, 5417 has been gone for a couple of weeks. The one up there on 3561 has been gone also. So that may have been one of the reasons there haven't been as many respond. Just to say.
Saying to the record, that's fine.
For the record, exactly. The other thing about that lot, 3618, and I didn't go out and measure it, but I think it's at least 3 foot taller, the lot itself, than 5421. Were they intending to lower it to the same height as the others?
That's not on the agenda for that.
I know,
Yeah, we don't
but that's
know.
a point I want to make.
Yeah.
If they put their 4-foot fence, it's actually 6 foot, because that lot is that much taller. Now, coming down on Canyon Rim, you're going from the north down, that is a steady rise. It goes uphill. And when you've got Summit Lane, the alley to Summit Lane and Silver Spur is a short distance. So you've got the people that consistently run the stop sign on Silver Spur, the people coming from Dominion, the people coming all the way from the bottom. It's a very active road. But you get down there, and it's like she said, walking their dogs, their children and stuff. If I try to drive out my alley, I cannot see someone walking on the street from Silver Spur down. I cannot see them at all. Because that curve it's really, it doesn't look that curvy right there, but it's definitely curvy. I urge you to go drive and see what you think. But,
Do you think, let me ask you this, since we want to do that, I mean, if there's a structure there, the house that put on the vacant lot, and the fence put up there, it might tell the drivers, I can't see anymore, I better slow down?
no,
You don't think so? No.
Do you drive on city streets?
Well, when I see something open like that, I can see a distance,
Yes.
my caution.
Me too,
Yeah.
but your average person does not.
I'm not even close to average.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is a total blind spot. Did you know that if I am in my alley, our mailbox is right there at the end of the alley, right there. If I come out in my driveway, I cannot see if the mail truck is coming. It's totally a blind corner.
Well, there could be something said when that lot closes up that people slow down. There could be an argument there.
If there's a stop sign, maybe, I know y'all don't do that, but that's been fought for too, and,
You know, when things open up, we come with driving, and
right, so, and,
might help. No?
well, it might, but if we get one, you know how hard that would be,
The stop sign?
getting a
That's out of
stop
my
sign. Yes,
category.
that's what I say.
Talk to him.
Okay, who? Him? Let me write your name down. But,
So just to clarify.
yes, ma'am.
You coming out of your driveway and you're worried about the height of the fence?
I'm
which would
worried
be
about-
Which would be a 6-foot fence, not a 4-foot fence.
Exactly. I'm worried about how far the house would be over to, and I'm sorry that they can't,
No,
you know.
I mean,
it's
that's
just
the
very
nice thing about
hard.
having a public opinion, and everybody's,
Yeah.
and that's what we're here to
Yeah.
hear about, and
Yeah.
we want to hear that. So my question is too, on that same, sorry, I'm stuck because I'm short. On that same question on where your house is on 3550,
Mm-hmm.
when she mentioned moving that fence to a certain point, and if, Aaron, if you don't mind going back, if that fence were to change,
Okay. Can you
Positions.
show me on, by the utilities thing, where the fence would be?
so that's gonna be an easement anyway, so nothing's gonna be there, because there's a
Yeah, that would
utility
be on the-
easement.
I'm gonna say the outside of the fence, the street side of the fence.
Right.
The fence will be on this side of
Okay. Put your, you know where the construction fencing is?
the.
Right there. Okay. This, all the way to Silver Spur in that area, if the weeds are 2 foot high, it is totally blind.
But that would be irrelevant, because it would not be.
Not really, because that is only about 3 foot in.
Well,
But that
honestly,
wasn't
at that
my
point in
question,
time,
no.
you could
That-
call and complain to the city about somebody having high weeds.
I think that.
Well, they
was it
wouldn't
that-
have high weeds, because they would
Let
probably
me,
have
let
to
me,
take
let me,
care
let
of
me interrupt
that.
here. Let me interrupt. Was that your question?
No, my.
Yeah, okay. It's just moving it back, the back
So my
part.
question is when they,
Yeah,
if
here.
she marks off
Yes,
up there,
Mm-hmm.
and she tags off that fencing,
yes,
okay?
Where it goes
That's not
straight-
anywhere in front of that house.
right.
Okay?
But she
I agree.
compromised to move back to the
Okay.
corner right there.
So
Right.
she compromises to move back to that corner.
Okay, but if
How is
you've
that
got a
affecting that house
6-foot
across the street?
fence,
That's my question.
Oh, okay.
if you've got a 4-foot fence that is
It's not gonna be 4
raised.
foot, it would be 6 foot.
Right,
Just to correct
exactly.
that.
You still cannot see. If you're standing in the driveway of her neighbor, if you're standing in the driveway, you cannot see the intersection.
So my question would be, what would you be trying to see on that aspect of it if that was their private fenced-in property?
The people coming down from Dominion Ridge and the people turning off
Right, so go back
of
to the other.
Silver Spur both ways.
Go back to the, I think we're not on the same page here. So on this one, where they're talking about coming in, basically just making the triangle, the fence. If they were to agree to cut the fence
This would
off,
be
no,
not fenced
no,
through here.
right there.
The
No.
very back of the house.
Yeah, erase that.
Here,
Right there?
Right there, if they were to go across and end up agreeing to make that the entire fence.
If
Okay.
it's
And
less
you're
than
dir-
25 foot, it wouldn't make any difference.
No, no, no.
Because we're looking at the houses up there too, they're 25 foot.
She answered.
And if you're standing at the end of their driveway, you
answered-
can't
answered.
see it.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're,
And I hate this for her, I hate it. you know,
No, I mean,
just
yeah,
know
no,
it's
I
very
just, I
dangerous.
always want to get clarification
Yes,
because I'm trying to
yeah.
understand where the perception is coming from. I totally understand coming around the corner.
Even
But
coming
I'm
from,
trying to understand, you're directly across the street, so I was trying to understand where that
said
line of
no.
sight was
that's the
going to
worst.
be interrupted.
That's the
But I
worst.
appreciate
But
it.
said
coming
no.
off Silver Spur or
Yes, ma'am.
Dimension Ridge,
She said
it's
no.
the same.
She said no.
Okay, all right.
Any more concerns that address your concern?
I think I've covered everything, everything that I had on my list.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
I don't believe we have any more signed up for public comment on this item.
You do not? Okay, I'm gonna close public comment and, open it for board comment. Start talking and,
I mean, the shape of the alley and the shape of the street is unfortunate from a traffic standpoint, but that's really not what we're talking about here. So being that the city is willing to approve it, I move that we approve it.
Okay.
As presented.
okay?
I'm actually, at this point, while asking questions, which is why I wanted to specify the corner and where it was coming from, I'm in approval as well.
Okay? You good? Well, I didn't open it up for motion.
Yeah.
I'm commenting,
Oh,
public
okay.
comment.
I agree.
I mean, board
I
comment.
think we have a traffic issue, not
I think we have a
not
traffic
zoning
issue as well, and I think we need to
Somebody-
address that separately, which is
Yep.
something we can't do, and it's out of our power.
Yep.
But
Okay, I'm okay.
I will make a,
Is all the board, hold on, is all the board through? All right, I'm okay. I'm gonna-
I will make a motion to approve.
I didn't ask.
I'm answering.
I thought that's what Lorenzo had already done.
Was that your motion? Did it get recorded properly?
Yes, it did.
Okay, even though we skipped over, I
Just
didn't
wanna-
ask for one, we're gonna just go back, so that was a motion?
Okay.
Okay,
I will second.
do you want to repeat it one more time?
I move that we approve the city's approval.
Okay,
I'll second.
got it. Motion to approve in a second, no more discussion, I'll call for the vote, all in favor say aye.
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 6-0.
And Chairman and the board, I will make sure that we pass this on to our other city team that deal with traffic items, just let them know that we had this conversation, and just see if they can go out and do some evaluation and see what might or might not be warranted from their standpoint.
Thank
We
you.
would appreciate that, Aaron. Thank you.
Okay. Was that the first one?
Yes, it was.
Can we take a hot minute? So I can-
Sorry.
Can we use, can we take a hot minute break?
Item number
Can we take a hot minute?
Item number 5, ZBA 24-34, 2459 Nasworthy Drive, Single Member District, Karen Hesse Smith. A request for approval of variance from section 501.A for a 2-foot side setback in lieu of the required 5 feet in an RS1 zoning district for new carport structure.
Thank you. Austin
Reed.
Reed, planner. This request comes to you out of the ASU College Hills neighborhood. It is District Number 5, Karen Hesse Smith's district. The zoning of this lot is RS1, single-family residential. The division holds it to be neighborhood. The lot itself is around 0.4 acres, and as you mentioned, we have a request for approval of a 2-foot side yard, whereas we normally require that 5. We did mail out 25 notices. We received 2 in favor from the applicant and the house next door, and we did not receive any opposed. So on to our analysis. So as you said, this is a request for a carport structure on the side of the yard. This carport measures 24 feet by 36 feet. This is not within the open structure overlay, but that's not really relevant because it doesn't encroach into that front setback anyways. But this is a very typical lot. It's a typical size, typical shape. So really there don't appear to be any special circumstances that would allow us to recommend approval. And additionally, most of the other neighbors do abide by that side setback requirement. So ultimately, we weren't able to find the necessary criteria. Here's a photo of the side of the house to give you an idea of where that carport's going to go and what that looks like. Here's sort of a diagram of the carport and the site. And then I've included a more up-to-date and closer aerial photo. With that, we are recommending denial. If you have any other questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
Any questions?
So if they moved it in, let's say, the 2 feet,
3 feet, right?
well, yeah, 2 feet with an overhang,
Yeah.
they'd be 100% in compliance,
So,
right?
right, the setback is measured to the poles. If they move, right now, they want to have the poles 2 feet from that side property line. If they move their poles 3 feet in, they could have a couple feet of overhang, and it would effectively still cover the same amount.
Okay,
So they wouldn't be up here asking for a variance?
Right.
Okay.
So this thing covers the entire side of the house?
Yeah,
Is
so
that what I'm
Effectively,
saying?
yeah.
and my question would be too is, can they access it from the alley if they were to decide to put that carport at the back? Because it looks like there's access for alley access versus, I mean, obviously it's convenient from the front, but there's a shop back there, so
Right.
if a carport was
I'm guessing
there,
it's a motor home.
I would assume so, and it does look like this was paved in recent years, maybe the last
Somebody
2 or
wants
3 years.
somewhere to park a motor home.
It looks like they added a circle drive and then paved that portion of the backyard as well.
okay. Right,
Any more questions from the board for Mr. Reed? I have none.
Thank you all.
All right. I'm going to close the presentation, and I'm going to open for public comment.
We do not have anyone signed up for this item.
Okay? I'm going to close public. Wait, hold on. I'm going to open it back up. There's a hand up. Welcome, and state your name for the record.
Yes, sir. Ray Guevara. I'm the contractor for Dr. Engel. And
Welcome, Ray.
Pardon me?
Did you say Ray is your first name?
Reynaldo.
Ronaldo, how are you?
Yes, sir. Guevara. So I'm the contractor for Dr. Engel. He couldn't be here. He's in Corpus. So I couldn't hear with the speaker system. Could y'all just help me understand? It sounds like it's going to be denied.
so my question, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. You're probably confused on her question about moving the poles. Did you hear that? And then you wouldn't even have to be here?
I'm sorry?
So my question is the way that they have it lined up, it is not approved. Okay? If you were to move your poles for the carport in 3 feet, and you still have the overhang, which still gives you the overhang of the carport, you would completely be in compliance.
So the wall, if we build it,
Which wall?
so the carport, so he's asking for a 3-foot variance versus a 5-foot to the property line.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's 3 feet, if it's 5 feet, then you move it in 3 feet, now you're 2 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So our understanding was that this needed to be like a firewall or something, which he's willing to make a center block or whatever to comply with that.
Would that be moving the poles
Well, that's really a building code question.
I see.
Exactly, I'm like, if you're.
Not a zoning question, but yes, I think if you're 0 to 10 feet, it may be a 1 hour. If you're 0 to 5 feet, it may be a 2 hour.
Okay.
But the zoning ordinance says on residential lots like this, you should be 5 feet away, and that's the question today is this unique enough to say, okay, they should be only 2 feet away instead of 5 feet away?
Well, okay, but even if they move the poles, it still need the firewall?
Potentially, that would be a
So
building
do you-
permit
Do
question.
you have plans?
I'm sorry, ma'am?
Do you have your building plans for the carport?
The plans for that
Is it
carport?
is it in the,
Do you have the building
Documents?
plans in here for the carport?
is
Do
it
I
in
have
the
the plans?
documents?
Plan to build?
I do. I don't
Is
have
it
my
in, no, is
copy.
it in the
Is it
documents?
submitted in the documents?
No,
Okay,
no, ma'am.
all right.
I would say that would probably have been a little bit more beneficial,
Sure.
only in stating a case of the matter.
From the wall of the house to your vertical post on the side, what is that distance? I think that's what they're trying to figure out.
23 feet.
23 feet wide.
The
So
carport?
if you were to move it 3 feet, that would make that opening 20 feet, is that correct?
You say opening of the garage or open?
Correct, yeah, of the carport.
Yeah.
Okay.
20 feet.
I think that's what y'all are trying to get.
Yes.
How big is that open?
Yes,
from the front?
because if you move the,
Still a usable carport if you cut it down.
right, right.
Yeah, so
Still
right now, I
a-
think,
That's my question, is it still a usable carport and still
That-
have
yes.
the overhang without having the extra 2 feet?
yeah, see, right now, he'll have like 18 feet, which, and then you still got to have sidewalls.
Yes,
So like 16 feet or something,
okay,
won't be able to get 2 cars.
thank you.
That's his concern.
Okay, what, any more, any concerns, does that cover it? I think I understand it all, don't I?
I'm confused, but anyway.
That's because you're down here below average today like me, right?
Really?
I know, you don't look very too
No.
good, I'm sorry.
Okay,
All
so
right.
you're not going to have a wall on the outside of the carport, is that correct? You're only going to have posts that hold up the,
If we could get an idea of what your plan was, is it 4 posts? Is it when you say a firewall, is it enclosed carport?
Well,
Okay.
well, let me,
This is a garage.
if he can or can't do it, if we turn it down, he wants to move them, then he can move them, he doesn't have to come back.
Right, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
give him some
Well,
options. I'm
yeah.
saying he can move it in
Uh,
2 feet.
Well, Aaron can do that with him, right? I mean, that's what's on the agenda. Will we take it with the post as is, and we just
Yes,
give
and
him
we can
such.
also give options
Yeah,
to
I know.
move it in 2 feet.
I know. You getting on me again. If then they would have given them the options at the application
No,
board.
but we can also give options just to express that to an applicant.
I apologize. You
No
are
need to
so
apologize.
right on that.
I know I am.
So there's a couple of different paths. One, do a modification of the structure to meet the 5-foot setback. The other is to hear this, make a decision by the board for or against. Or there is the option of tabling it and seeing if you wanted to see plans, if that makes any difference. From a staff standpoint, it still doesn't make sense to us when there are alternative options that we would not support the variance from a staff standpoint, but that you guys may see a hardship in the area or in the particular situation, and that's where y'all have that ability to make those statements and move through something like that. if
Let me
choose
ask you
to.
this, when it comes in, applies, do y'all give him what he can do first? Put the post where we don't even have to show up and then coming up?
Yeah, I would say that's fairly typical. I don't know this situation
Okay.
specifically, but that
Okay.
is
So
fairly
you'll-
typical.
If you want to, we're going to shut down for public comment, but if you have any questions on how to make it work like you want it, speak with building? Yes. Permit? Yes. Okay. The building officials at the permit. What we're saying is there's a way to do this, but you're going to have to deal with the post. Okay? Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. So let me just,
Okay?
so my next step is, if I understand, this is not a no.
We haven't voted yet. How do
We're
it open
gonna
up?
discuss, we're gonna
Yeah,
discuss it.
yeah.
Just
Well, we kind of, she was very right on, and again, I apologize. To solve her question is you go ask the permit department. If you move the post, you won't even have to be here.
So we're gonna discuss it for a hot minute.
Okay, so.
And then we'll
I'll just wait
open
on
it.
vote and then,
Yeah, we'll give you a moment to come back up.
Because
Right.
my question is, has that already been presented to you? Have you gone through the process of going to the permit department? And say, if I have the post here and they take you up the chain of command, they say, no, it won't work, and you come to here to get a variance, right?
wait, that's where we went first. Yes, sir.
When you went to the permit department to do that, did they give you any insight but if you move those posts, you won't even have to show up here? That's what we're getting to.
Right.
Correct. Did they give you that information
Well,
where if
I
you
don't-
moved it, you would?
That's fine. It's mute now. It's mute.
So I
It's
don't
mute.
think
No, it's okay.
I think,
Well,
Answer the question.
we don't have a building official here to address it, and if it is, and it was, and all that kind of stuff, but that's fine. That's fine.
I think a confusion that I sense is a carport versus a shop. Like he wants a building.
The deal is the post and the
Not a
lot
house,
length
like,
and.
he wants a building, he wants a
yeah,
shop.
Yeah,
4 walls, garage door.
yes.
So he wants a garage,
It's a garage, yes, ma'am.
not a carport.
Not a carport.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a garage.
So we're talking completely apples to oranges when it comes to.
That's what I'm sensing.
Well, it says
It
carport.
says a carport
Yeah,
request.
because you said post, I was like,
So that was why I was
I see
questioning.
where you did that.
If it's a carport,
Yeah, I know, it's a garage.
which means it's a open,
No, it's a garage.
so
So all
it's
sides.
actually a garage.
Like I have the plans already.
Okay, so I think that's where the
You wanna table it? Should we table
miscommunication
it?
was. I'm glad you clarified that.
So it's a garage.
What is your question, Chairman?
I'm sorry. What's this carport? Should we table it?
That is an option,
Okay.
to table it. But from the zoning standpoint, since this is attached to the house, it's a carport and a garage are the same structure under the zoning ordinance. And so whatever the vertical structure is, whether that's a wall or post. Now, if it was 10 feet back, it would be looked at as an accessory structure, which being a carport.
Okay. So go ahead and work, okay, gotcha.
So if you have the desire to make a decision today, or if he wants to have a decision made today, I would say move forward with the decision. If the applicant wants to ask to table it and have more discussion with city staff, we're happy to do that and bring that back if that's.
Would
but
you
I
like to do that?
I can't hear, sir, I'm sorry. It's all muffled.
Would you like us to table it and reconsider it, or would you like us to go ahead and make a decision today?
I still can't.
We can.
Would you like us to table it and further out to make a decision, or would you like us to make a decision today?
There's a way you can build this legally.
I think it might be the actual speaker system that's causing these problems. Maybe we try.
It's echoing.
It is.
It's
Very
There is
badly.
a way you can do this without getting a variance. You take your plans and specs to the building department, and they will say, no, you have to get a variance. That's what triggered you to come up here. What we're seeing is there's a way to redesign the carport or garage or workshop where you won't need a variance. Okay? So do you want us to table this, not vote on it?
And give you the opportunity to redraw those lines.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you correctly, if you vote on it, then that's permanent.
Correct.
Okay, and then if you table it, it's still open.
And you take
Correct.
your plans to the permit department, correct, Mr. Benoit?
Yeah, sure, table it, please.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet. Okay.
We do need to take official action, if that is an action y'all want to take.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. I'm trying to speed things up there, aren't I? First time for everything. All right, board, I'm gonna close public comment. Board, he wants to table.
I will make a motion to table.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Did I hear 6?
6,
6.
sorry,
That's all right.
had my head the other way.
Okay, moving on. Table 6-0 vote.
Can I use the bathroom real quick?
yes.
Can we take a hot break?
Hot break for a bathroom break?
I have 3 kids.
Breaks. I'm gonna open the meeting back up. It is 2:42 p.m. Oh, I didn't read the last time, did I? All right, here we go. Just 6, right? ZBA 24-35, 2250 Joy Road, Single Member District Number 1, Tommy Hebert, request for approval of a variance from Section 501.A for a 14-foot front setback in lieu of the required 25 feet in an RS1 zoning district for the expansion of a storage building. And Mr. Benoit.
Thank you, Chairman. This is ZBA 24-35, 2250 Joy Road out at the lake, Lake Nasworthy, Tommy Hebert. It is RS1 zoning with a vision of neighborhood. It is .327 acres. And this is a request of a 14-foot front yard setback in lieu of the required 25 feet. We did send out 11 notifications. We did receive 3 back in favor, just to the, and I'm going to call that kind of to the northeast of the property. You can see the property outlined in red right here, and these properties over here were in support of this request. So 2250 Joy Road, this is a variance for a new carport structure beside an existing legal non-conforming structure. The lot is roughly 134 feet deep by 57 feet wide at the front. It's slightly wider, but I wouldn't say very much wider at the back, but 134 by 57 for just being over 7,600 square feet, or 25% larger than the typical RS1 minimum lot size, which is 5,000 square feet. So we are dealing with a larger lot size than normal. It appears based on the site plan submitted, there's more than adequate space located to locate the new structure back at the 25-foot front yard setback, and I've got some images for that for you. There are also alternative locations on site which might be able to be placed, or there is the option to request an expansion of a non-conforming structure with the Planning Commission. Since there is a non-conforming structure at the 14-foot setback, if they were to request an expansion of that, they would be able to, in essence, say, okay, we can expand that structure there through Planning Commission. And we also want to remind you that off-site storage is also a viable option. So here's the overall site plan. You see Joy Road is just a small little road, and traffic is not our concern here, as we saw maybe in our first case where traffic was more a concern. I'm going to go to this slide here is where you see the proposed RV storage. They have a storage building there on the left side and a small covering, and you can see the concrete drive. We're looking at, let me see if I can get this to work again. So it looks like right now it's right at just at 14 feet. And by using the scale that they provided and this distance here to here is of roughly the same distance. And so by building the new structure, you could really put it back at the 25-foot setback. So that's our challenge with this case. Does it make common sense? Probably. Does it meet the threshold of a hardship? We don't believe it does. And that's our challenge of city staff looking at the ordinance, trying to make decisions on what our ordinance says and balance it with common sense. And that's our challenge here is if you do move it, whether it be just straight back, is there another spot on this property that it could be located at? I'm not saying it's a great option, but it is an option. All because this structure here should not dictate necessarily through a variance process that this structure should be located there as well. There are other options in the ordinances to potentially do that.
So I guess they've been addressed before they got it to here.
I don't think so.
No,
but
I mean, the options.
But
Okay. So your argument's the hardship?
that is correct.
Okay.
We're recommending denial at this time. We just don't see that there's a hardship for this lot. It is 25% larger than most standard RS1 lots.
Okay.
My argument would also be that we might consider sometime in the future that most cities that have lakes like this within the city limits, their front yard is actually the lake side, not the street side. That's their front yard. But here in San Angelo, we choose their backyard as the lake side. But most of those houses, yeah, they might have a small front door at the front, but they always use the back.
Mr. Vanoy, when you said that, I probably lost in the train of thought. Is that a philosophical thing, or does it apply here?
Yes, it does not apply here.
Okay.
But most of the time, most cities treat this back here as their front yard, and this is their backyard, thus allowing structures like
even the river
this.
with the lake in front of it?
Yes.
So that's between.
Yeah,
you
because
and
you
the fire
don't, you
department.
normally don't, setbacks are for safety. You normally don't have high traffic. You normally don't have fast traffic unless you're on a major road. Joy Road is not a major road, as all of y'all know. But again, in the case that we have set up with our ordinances that we've adopted through our city council, it just doesn't meet the hardship criteria at this time.
Gotcha.
I'll be happy to answer any other questions.
I don't have any.
So explain that the other building is okay.
That is correct. It is legal, non-conforming. So that building was built before that area was probably ever annexed, which means it was built before the current zoning ordinance, so it's grandfathered. That's the other term.
So wouldn't common sense kind of dictate that you would just build it right next to it?
Well, that's the problem. Our ordinance doesn't say that.
Common sense, yes.
Right.
Yeah, we got to kind
Common
of
sense,
meet
yes.
both in the
Ordinance,
middle.
no.
Yeah.
Now, one of the options in our ordinance is, under section, I think it's 602, is non-conforming structures and the expansion of non-conforming structures. You can go in front of the planning commission and say, we want to expand this structure. And so that is an option.
Is that not what's being done here?
Say that again?
Is that not what is being done here? Is it a whole separate building?
Yes, but this board does not have the ability to make a judgment on that decision.
On that previous
On
decision.
the previous decision, but based on what is
Right.
already there.
Correct.
We are,
So you're simply looking at, that's a brand-new building, like, as if it was a brand-new piece of property. That is the way our ordinance is written. That's in fact the way the state law is written on how you look at zoning setbacks.
I think that covers it. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could. Oh, just- You know, if I get off key here, put me off, I'll start asking questions to.
It's, with any other questions for city staff?
Not right now.
I don't have any.
Right.
No. Thank you, Mr. Verdoin. Let's see, moving on to, I got to remember to do this. Mr. Reed?
do you have public comment?
Yeah, either Jerry Lancaster or Ms. Erica Wilde can speak, whoever would like to. This is Mr. Jerry Lancaster.
Jerry Lancaster. Welcome, sir.
I'm Jerry Lancaster, and my wife and I own the property at 2250 Joy Road. And we're talking about the expansion of an existing 40-foot-long boat garage. It is an expansion. We're not going to have a door between, there's going to be an opening into that other building. They're going to be all one building. So it's not an addition, it's an expansion of the existing.
It's an expansion of the existing building?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, he
And-
just addressed that. Did you hear him address that?
I did, and I don't
Okay.
understand how they come up with that, but it's not a separate building. It's going to be one big building, one bigger building. It's not two separate buildings.
I think-
We're not going to be building we're only building 3 walls. We're not building a 4th wall.
I think where we're getting lost in the weeds here is that original building there was under a classification of a special permit, or what'd you say it was?
It was grandfather.
Yeah,
Grandfather.
it was grandfathered.
Yes.
And-
And what we were thinking is, had that taken to planning first, but grandfather probably will or will not let it happen. But go ahead, I'm sorry to interrupt, I really am. But go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah, the original building was here when we purchased this property 10 years ago, and that building's been there for decades. At that time, the enclosed insulated shop garage was about 19 feet long, mainly a lawnmower garage. It was on a concrete slab that was 40 feet long, and it had a roof tall enough for a motorhome that extended another 21 feet with a concrete slab that's been there forever, and making it a total of 40 feet long. Not long after purchasing this property, we hired Advanced Custom Windows of San Angelo to completely enclose and insulate the remainder of the 40-foot structure, making it a fully insulated 40-foot-long boat garage. We were under the impression that the original structure had proper city permits and that Advanced Custom Windows obtained whatever permits they thought were necessary. I understand now maybe that was not the case, and we agreed to pay for whatever permits are necessary to bring it all into compliance. The 40-foot roof and 40-foot slab have been in place for decades. We're not proposing to change that or to make it any closer to the street or nearby property lines. We're only seeking to widen the existing structure, bringing it right up to our existing driveway to make it accommodate a large pontoon boat or possibly a motorhome. Our boat garage sits at least 25 feet from the water line, the city water line, and I've measured it multiple times, and it sits 31 feet from the edge of the street. So I don't know where y'all get 14 feet. It is 31 feet from the back of our wall, the existing garage, to the edge of the street. And then we've got a chain link fence that's between the building and the edge of the street. That fence will still be there. We're not moving the fence. We're not getting anything any closer to the street or the right-of-way. Our plan is to eventually sell our home in Midland and move to San Angelo permanently, which would require more storage and a protected waterproof parking, which will also increase the value of the property too. We pray that y'all will grant the variance. I have attached a photo of our property with the existing boat garage that we want to make wider, and I've attached a petition containing the signature of almost every resident on Joy Road, all in favor of this. Every one of them have signed in favor. There were like 3 houses they were out of town. I couldn't get their signatures. All the other have signed approving it and hoping that y'all will grant it. So if you have any other questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
Any questions? I don't have any. Questions? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Erica Wilde.
Ha, what he said. I did want to just make, he pretty much summed it up. I did want to make one comment that the next door property has their storage building at the same exact distance they do.
Which
So
property?
the one to this.
Pictures that show it. So this is their building, this is the one next to it. A little folder, page 2.
Was it built conforming, non-conforming, or grandfathered, or do you know, Erica?
To our knowledge, looking at a lot of these, there are others that are in that
Grandfather.
area.
This was annexed late, right?
But that was before the area was annexed and before the zoning ordinance took effect. And so,
Precedent wasn't set if the zoning ordinance wasn't.
Y'all two want to talk it over before you get to us?
What's
Too
that?
higher up, you know, in the food chain there of intelligence for this kind of stuff.
Oh, and I'm here for questions, although Jerry may know a lot more, so.
I'm sorry, could you
I'm here
restate?
for any questions, although
Oh.
Jerry probably knows a lot more about his own property.
I don't have any.
I had one other thing that I was going to ask. On the initial thing, it mentioned that it was a carport. It is not a carport. It's an existing, we're expanding the whole shop over to make one big shop building. There's no carport. We never intended for it to ever be a carport.
Okay, that's consideration, but you'd have to do the same thing anyway.
Yeah.
But thank you.
And all of the properties up and down Joy Road, I don't think there's a single property that's in compliance with.
Well, let me restate what Mr. Vinoy said. That was done before
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to go through this. So that's old, and we're into the new of the zoning rules. Thank you.
If you have any other questions, I'll try to.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Let me say one other thing, if I can.
We haven't closed public comment.
Right under there, though.
It would be pretty much impossible to move the building closer to the house. I know that looks like a long lot, but we have a 22-foot boat that's in that garage right now, and the only way we can get that boat in there is for me to go as close to the far fence and then go all the way around until I almost hit the other property fence, and then have the garage, we have that double garage door, the double garage that's attached to the house. And we open that garage door, and I literally pull the tow vehicle into my double garage in order to get it lined up where I can back it straight into that.
Thank you.
We've got to back everything.
We understand. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So we couldn't build it closer to the house.
Thank you. I'm going to close public comment. Board, open it for board discussion. Any discussion?
Aaron, could you tell us again what you were saying about expanding an existing building as opposed to building a new building?
Yes, so expansion of a non-conforming building is a planning commission land use decision, allowing the land to be used in that way, allowing that building to potentially be expanded. So, for example, if you had a building that was a one-story building, it abuts a zoning which says you're supposed to be 10 feet back from that zoning. So if it's residential and commercial, and that commercial property wants to add a second story, well, that's an expansion of a non-conforming structure, because if that structure is less than 10 feet close to that, they can't, I mean, yeah, you can tear the structure down and start over, but maybe it's more appropriate to do an expansion of that, and the land use is still the same. It's not infringing anymore on the rights of the adjacent properties, and it's not saying, well, here's a variance that would apply to every property that's RS1. It's looking at that specific structure, where a variance is looking at, if this came forward for a 14-foot setback on any other piece of property, we would say yes if they're the same size pieces of property. And I don't think that's the case here. And that's because this property is not unique. It's a large piece of property. That's not a reason, that's not a hardship, because they have a large piece of property or a need to get a certain size piece of equipment in. That's what buying and selling property is all about. This is about what does our zoning ordinance says for the land use, what structures are allowed there, and how can they be there. And then there's mechanisms to potentially expand this. My suggestion is, and I apologize fervently to the applicants and to Ms. Wilde, it seems like we did not communicate that there was maybe a potential other process here for the Planning Commission. My recommendation is let's go to the Planning Commission and see if they give an expansion. If not, then maybe we come back here and talk about what other options are there.
My concern with that would be that we just keep delaying.
And that's potentially true.
And I don't think that's fair to the
Well,
client.
I agree, because we can't speak for Planning Commission.
yeah, I agree. I agree, but when the theory and logic was putting out there, have y'all approved anything with the Planning Commission along this street for something similar to this before?
We have done non-conforming uses and non-conforming structures in the past, yes.
Recent?
I would say the most recent one was probably 21 or 22. It was a church that did more than 50% of renovation.
How similar to this?
Say that again?
It's not the exact, but it rhymes with this case?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Okay, thank you.
So their only alternative would be, I mean, it's already a continuing structure, so do they have to tear it down and then build a new structure to get, when it's a perfectly,
No. Because it's already been approved.
right, so so they're asking for zoning to extend
For this one structure.
this one structure out. What would the alternatives be then?
The alternatives, there's other spaces on the lot. There's off-site storage.
So you just have to build a completely different building on
Under our
other
current
parts of
zoning
the
ordinance, I
property,
mean, it's very similar to the carport structure that, or, and I'd say the garage
Which
that we
could
just
come
looked at.
into issues with-
There's alternatives there. He could put it in the backyard. He could shrink it.
That is the backyard.
Right.
But
So,
we heard his presentation.
yeah.
Oh, I heard it, that's why I'm asking questions.
Yeah, well, I didn't know about going along, if they could, go with planning and extend it along and, but. Question?
I have a motion.
Question heartburn answered?
I have a motion.
All right.
Given the fact that the entire lake is non-conforming, given the fact that all the neighbors are in favor of it, and given the fact that all these other houses have a similar boathouse, I move that we override the city and approve it and let it kick to the planning commission.
Can you state what the hardship is for this particular lot?
The hardship is common sense. It's rule number 7.
Add on to it instead of considering it as a new build. Does it have to go to planning commission, or is it just all solved right here?
If they get the variance here, a new structure can go at the 14-foot building setback for that lot. If they happen to connect to this structure, then it's still legally non-conforming. The existing structure is still legally non-conforming.
So
Even if they have an opening between the two, whether it's a cased opening, a doorway.
So if we made a motion to approve what they're asking for, it wouldn't have to go to planning.
That is correct.
Okay, and so your motion again, Lorenzo,
Is to approve.
Motion again?
My motion is to approve.
has nothing to do with going to planning
No.
commission?
I mean, it's going to bounce to them.
If we approve it, it'll have to
What
bounce
is your
up to planning.
motion?
To approve as opposed to deny.
Well, it won't automatically go to planning. I thought I heard you say
No,
planning.
no, he changed his
I
motion.
think if we go against the city, it goes to the planning commission, right?
Yes, the motion is to grant the 14-foot front yard setback.
Okay.
So his motion is to approve it, not approve what the city is.
Okay. Okay, so you want to go with what's, okay. So I'm totally clear, Mr. Lancaster, Lorenzo.
Lassiter, not Lancaster.
Would you read that motion again, one more time? Read it in.
I move that we vote to approve their variance request.
Motion on the table for approval. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Any vote, any more discussion before I bring it to the vote? Okay, being none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Being none. 6-0 to grant the variance.
7-0.
7.
7?
Oh, I'm sorry. 7 is, I thought you were moving on to the next one. I'm ready to
Oh,
go.
okay.
I'm sorry.
No, she's
You know, I'm not supposed to be here.
She's in a hurry.
I'm not supposed to be here.
I was like, 7. I missed one of us. No, here. You voted twice.
Moving on, item number 7, division report.
Don't have a whole lot to say today, although you saw that we were on case number 36 for ZBA cases this year. That's more than double than the cases that we've had, which is an indication of something's not working in the zoning ordinance. City staff have been talking about what should we do on some of our items, but it's clear anytime you get more than 10 ZBA cases in a year, the zoning ordinance is not working as the community wants it. And so that's a big undertaking, but whether it's setbacks, whether it's floor area ratio, carports, all of those different types of things, I think that's going to take a major overhaul of our zoning ordinance. Now, our zoning ordinance was adopted in 2000, and then our comprehensive plan was written in 2003. And so our zoning ordinance does not match our comprehensive plan, and so we have some work to do on our end to get that going forward. If there's any items y'all want to talk about, bring up, discuss for suggestions, there is maybe the opportunity that we go in and we take little snippets and try to fix little snippets. There's also the option of, all right, how do we fix the bigger picture in the long term and get a lot of city feedback, a lot of community feedback of how things should go. But I think that's something that we have to start addressing because we shouldn't have this many ZBA cases in a year. 36 cases is a lot.
What's kind of average? You have an average?
An average is, we've been averaging around 15, so we're more than double this year. So we're between 15 and probably 15 to 17 is our average, depending on how many carports we get.
Right. Well, I was thinking about the other one, short-term rentals.
I was going to say, the short-term rentals, there was a lot of those earlier
And
in the
we,
year.
and we did solve that.
I was going to say, yeah.
And we basically said you can't vary it, which means that's always an option too, is to go into the zoning ordinance in a case just like this. We could say, we don't vary that. It's you build it this setback or you don't.
I agree. If we look at the bigger problem, which is what was coming to us, SCRs we already handled, carports, huge issue. Same thing with this setback, where certain things are getting a setback, certain things are not. I agree, if we look at it as a whole, and this is not public comment, really, if we agree as a whole, we look at it to see if it needs to be addressed separately
Right.
as a city, or if it needs to be just addressed independently for zoning.
Yeah, I agree.
What is one of y'all's suggestions? What are y'all seeing? And since we have Erica here, she might have a suggestion right off the. Ma'am?
There's too many of these cases, it needs to be changed.
In particular, any one, is there one? Double, yeah, well, that's been an issue
You
since
don't
I've
like
been
just
living.
seeing us every month?
I think we talked about that last year or year before about addressing that, so. No progress on that, for instance, I thought that was brought up, you know.
We have not,
Philosophically speaking.
I think that's something we need to
Rhetorical,
address and push
rhetorical.
forward with the
Yeah.
city council moving to the plan, right?
and some of these things, I mean, obviously, city staff can do certain things. There's times that we have to use maybe consultants or something to get other folks engaged, which is a budgetary item, which
Let's don't do,
that
let's
all.
don't do a full-blown budget report on double frontage. I mean, let's just don't, right?
That's the challenge, but you have to do the right analysis to get you the right data so that we're just making decisions, just like on one of the folks that said today, what is the safety aspect? Are we protecting everyone that we can? And there's probably some middle ground somewhere.
Right.
I would say there was that movement to get to these 25-foot setbacks, and I would say there's a big movement that's saying, okay, no, do we have to have 25 feet? Because even your comments today, Chairman, about, well, if you have structures and things there, that tends to bring the walls in closer and you tend to slow down. I think there's lots of stats that prove that. Now, the one-offs are the problems, and that's the hard part.
Devil in the details, right?
Yeah.
The
And so
nuance.
it's that challenge. But city staff is certainly open to that and looking at that. We do have we will be having 2 new staff members coming on. We still have Austin and Ray. And then, of course, I've introduced Kim Garmany before as our new Planning and Development Administrator. We have a new planning technician coming over, Karen Putnam. She was our 911 coordinator. She's coming over to planning. And then we're in the process of interviewing some candidates for the open planner position. So we're excited about getting fully staffed, getting trained, and really getting to work on what can help our community.
Erica, Dominic.
That's all I have, Chairman.
I do have just one little tidbit. Staff's trying to do a better job of tracking your terms and expirations. So just in case that's something some of you aren't aware of, I'll be sending out some information on that shortly.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Reed. That it on the division report? All right. Next meeting agenda, item number 8. The next regular meeting of Zoning Board of Adjustments is scheduled to begin at 1:30 p.m. on Monday, December the 2nd, 2024, in the City Hall East Mezzanine Meeting Room. Item number 9. Was it 9? Yeah, because we was on 8. Adjournment. Motion. Well, there's a motion to adjourn. A second.
I'll second.
Vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.